Going into his rookie season, Sauce Gardner had already built himself quite the reputation, erasing everyone who challenged him during his time at Cincinnati and making sure to talk his shit along the way. None of that changed as he entered the league, and fortunately for him, he backed up his talk, climbing to the very top of his position in just year one. Snatched up by the Jets at number 4 overall, Gardner's long frame combined with silky smooth footwork immediately made him a matchup nightmare for even some of the league's best receivers. There is no shaking this man. Sauce will smother them all. It's rare you see a player come in and immediately be the best at his position. But listen, y'all, the college tape was no fluke. This man just does not let you get open. His bread and butter is press alignment, using his 33.5-inch arms to control routes from the release, keeping his hands active and maintaining leverage throughout the tempo of the route. Combine this with great footwork, and this makes Sauce very efficient in his movement, allowing him to always remain balanced and never stuck in the turf, ready to transition through any break. Green Bay are trying to get Lazard on a slant to the boundary side, so Sauce will press down as close as possible despite number 13 aligning offline, wanting to press and control the route. Lazard drifts towards the sideline on the release, and Sauce over-exaggerates by flipping his hips to the outside getting ready to run. So when the wideout plans to cut inside, most corners would be way out of position. But Sauce is so fluid and controlled, he can use his inside arm to feel Lazard on the cut, then instantaneously flip his hips and camp on the shoulder of his man. Feeling the slant, Sauce knows to get his head back on the turn and then uses his free arm to play over the top of the receiver, batting this ball for the easy breakup. Here, having forced Denver into a 2nd and long situation, the Jets show an aggressive front with 10 men pressed down on the line, with Sauce lined up opposite Courtland Sutton. He releases outside, trying to beat him down the sideline space and uses pace, but Sauce efficiently slides from his passive press stance, early transitioning to the vertical, knowing that Sutton is going long. He stride for stride with his man, looking back when he does, and his long frame makes this late ball a disaster attempt. Sutton actually does a good job to reposition and attempt the grab, but Sauce just rips it out of his grasp to deny 6. Down in the red zone against Seattle, Sauce was tasked with following DK Metcalf. On the snap, DK rolls out a hop release, drifting outside before planting off his outside foot to cut in for the open slant window. Sauce backs off of this release, staying neutral before the break, but when DK pushes off his foot to break, watch the nimbleness of Sauce, quickly sliding into the underneath pocket, then again going around his man for the breakup. A 4-point save on display. If there's one reliable way to get open against man, it's a drag route from a stack formation through traffic. Tyquan Thornton has top-end speed and uses that to immediately cut under the vertical release of Hunter Henry, and then will use Nelson Aguilar's route, creating more traffic with the mesh concept. However, Sauce reads this all the way and doesn't take a single false step. He patiently waits for the tight end's route to clear before angling to get tight to the wideout's hip pocket, reestablishing contact with his telescopic arms. Now faced with the rub route from the far side, Gardner has to bubble upfield, but he knows this is the offense's chance to connect, so he makes sure to step on the accelerator and break towards the catch point, using his extreme length to reach in and punch the ball out. Need y'all to understand, that is a breakup that very few players on the planet can make. And let me introduce you to the other planet's leading competitors, Manscaped, the premium brand for men's grooming and hygiene products across the globe. And they recently hooked us up with some special things from their all-in-one Perfect Package 4.0. Let's peep what's inside. If you watch our channel, I'm assuming you're athletic to some degree, or at least pretended to be at some point. We all know one of the worst things in the world are some sweaty, itchy balls. Thankfully, here we got the Holy Grail, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It's Manscaped's 4th generation electric trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology. It's cordless and waterproof and has LED lights on the front to show battery life. Plus, it comes with a wireless charging dock. By tapping the button on the front 3 times, it also enables the really convenient travel lock feature. It also comes with a bottle of Crop Preserver ball deodorant and Crop Reviver ball spritzer, so your privates can stay fresh at all times. For a limited time, you get all this plus 2 free gifts. Go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping, plus 2 free gifts when you use promo code ThinkingFootball at checkout. Manscaped, the perfect tools for your family jewels. Sauce has something every DB coach wishes they could instill in their players: patience. And this makes him great in off-man coverage too. He has the ability to sit and wait for a route to develop before committing, trusting in his movement skills and feel for timing to overcome any spacing disadvantage. Occasionally, this will appear to get him into trouble, but because the trigger is so quick and the movement so fluid, he's closing that space QBs just don't expect him to be able to make. His patience is on display here in the red zone, covering Donovan Peoples-Jones on the motion. He aligns with a cushion that is soon eaten up on that angled stem towards the boundary, with DPJ looking to be heading out on a sideline out to the pylon. In trail, Sauce would need to accelerate hard here to undercut for the breakup, but he chooses to wait a moment, trusting his ability to recover, and this gives him the time to see DPJ's shoulders turn upfield on the out and up. From here, he's in control of the route to the ball, putting his body in the way to force the touchdown-saving breakup. Aligned in an outside off-man leverage against Jakobi Meyers this time, Gardner allows his cushion to be eaten up, transitions quickly to his back pedal, and establishes contact to stay in trail position all the way across the field. He stays tied to the dig route right up to the catch point, where a well-timed shove ruins any hope for a sideline grab. Facing a condensed look on first down, Salah sends 5 and pairs it with a 3-3 look to stop the big play if Russ decides to take a shot. Denver have the answer to this though, with a sit route behind the linebacker depth and zones, but they did not account for Sauce's ability to close up space in a hurry. Even though he's aligned off and out-leveraged, his patience allows him to quickly make the break on the sit-down, and in a ridiculously small time frame, closes the space when the route is obvious, wrapping his long arms around to force the drop. And ISO'd up, Sauce gets into shuffle technique to keep his eyes inside on the play action. He uses this opportunity to keep gaining depth. Then, once the QB reaches the top of his drop, he switches to get his eyes on his man. He maintains his upfield position using long strides to keep ahead, then reading his wideout's hips, drops to make a cut. He sinks himself, allowing him to match the comeback and stay in perfect position. One question mark that remained on Sauce's draft profile is how well he'd adapt to playing more zone than he did with the Bearcats. The Jets ran zone on 71% of snaps last season, a 15% increase from his last year in Cincinnati, and there was particular adaptation needed when it comes to mofo coverages. That's middle of the field open looks, something Cincy didn't do much, but the Jets did 42% of the time, in line with league trends of showing the too high shell. This forced Sauce into more quarters coverage as well as hard pressing flats, but the Jets scouted well, and he's eviscerated any doubts his skills wouldn't translate to zone. Here, Sauce is backpedaling to a deep third alignment and is going to be tasked with playing a tricky out, attacking his natural leverage angle. Good speed allows him to gain depth quickly on the vertical release, and those silky smooth feet have him opening up quickly and breaking to the route. The throw might have been tipped, but there's no denying that his change of direction is outstanding out of shuffle technique, and he beats the target to the pass, snatching the ball away. This time, the Jets are in cover 6, with Sauce responsible for protecting the strong side quarter. The only route threatening his zone is a vertical stem from Romeo Doubs, so he treats this like Offman and lets his 10-yard cushion be cut in half before he reacts to the outside move, before mirroring the pivot back downfield. Doubs then stops all his momentum and hitches up, but Sauce is on top of this too, punching through the pass with perfect timing. This route would have broken the ankles of most corners, but Sauce was on this step for step. You just can't shake him. And here's another good snap in a quarter zone. This from a true version of quarters against the condensed formation. Sauce smartly drifts his back pedal to maintain outside leverage so as to not get blind spotted. Cade Johnson sits his route down tightly within 3 yards, and the ball is released with perfect timing. But even that isn't enough to separate from Sauce as he closes the gap within the flight time of the pass, swamping the catch attempt with the hand over either shoulder for the breakup. Back to the game against Miami, where he was tested in his outside quarter with a deep corner route from Cedric Wilson. He stays patient, bracketing this with his safety, making sure to stay outside, so when the route breaks towards the sideline, he's able to cut it off by smoothly turning into the man and using his arms to slow down, but not block the wideout's path. Then, with the space closed, he can get his hand in and help break up the diving attempt. In the red zone, the Dolphins have a play drawn up to beat the quarters look they're expecting. The double posts on the near side are covered from every angle, so the QB hits the wide open running back flat route, knowing he can take this to the house with nothing between him and the end zone. After seeing the post route go inside, Sauce gets his eyes to the QB and sees the pass direction. He then plants and flies downhill to meet Mostert. The reaction and speed are so quick, he's able to get there and knock the running back wide of the pylon, saving another score. Now, the Jets did a nice job projecting on his transition to zone. However, I think even they would have been surprised by the elite level of play he showed, blanketing some of the best big receivers in the league. Sauce was tasked with covering multiple top tight ends, repeatedly limiting plays that they're used to being open on. His best showing was straight out the gate, locking down one of the league's best in Mark Andrews. Here, Baltimore is running a flood concept with Mark running the middle out, so the tight end releases inside before cutting back outside. Sauce is tasked with pressing Andrews on the inside spot of the trip side and slightly over-rotates his hips, taking him further upfield than needed. But good footwork gets him in close quarters. The target comes to the underneath receiver who bobbles it up, and Sauce shows the smarts, knowing a tip ball means all contact is live, shoving Andrews to the ground so he can't play the rebound. It's not just in man that he can make an impact on. He sees Andrews cross center field from the inside spot of his tray formation and quickly gains depth with a few long strides to stop this route from flattening back over the top of him. He then goes step for step all the way to the goal line, and once he sees his man's hands flash upwards, he extends those long arms to shut the door, forcing a key stop. And here, lined up outside versus Noah Fant, he decides to play this inside to out, meaning he is not reliant on safety help. Sauce establishes contact with his inside arm and hand fights well to maintain his upfield leverage all the way to the pylon, leaving no room for Fant to fight back for the ball. He takes this right to the edge of a guarding flag, but keeps his distance well to keep the laundry in the Zebra's pocket. Now, all rookies have areas they need to improve, and Sauce is no exception to the rule. The rookie year analysis of Gardner's tackling is pretty easy to summarize. Not good. There has been zero improvement from his time as a Bearcat in this department. And now, against the best of the best, it's even more apparent. With more tape, we can now say this is an attitude and strength problem more than a technical one. His hesitancy and preference for arm tackles combine to make him a literal turnstile for any bigger body to run straight through. And making this issue even worse is his active avoidance of contact. I understand trying to avoid picking up nicks as a corner, especially when you have to run backwards against the world's best athletes, but business decisions make for ugly viewing. He reads the developing plays quicker than almost anyone, so he regularly beats his teammates to the ball, but rarely seems to lay a finger on the carrier. He just doesn't have the attitude necessary to take advantage of this when it comes to hitting. And trust me, when he's so good everywhere else, teams will be coming after this. The Sauce was as good as advertised. Announcing elite status from week 1, Gardner continued to climb the cornerback ladder, eventually being awarded All-Pro honors for outstanding play at his position. His emergence in zone and extra ability inside on tight ends continues to push his ceiling upwards, but that doesn't mean Sauce doesn't have areas where he can grow. He's never going to be a physical thumper, but he can certainly learn how to finish the plays he needs to. Block shedding and tackling are as much mental as they are physical. He can be more willing to get stuck in when his teammates really need him. So when faced with the question of whether Sauce is worthy of his nickname, the answer is an emphatic hell yeah. This guy is going to patrol the Jets secondary for the next decade, and his ceiling is only limited by hard work. Pretty soon, we'll be talking about him having an island right next to the Revis one. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, we're dropping a rookie report every 2 weeks throughout the summer, covering the league's most interesting rookies from the 2022 season. Take care.